Welcome back to our North End Walk, episode 26. And fans have been saying, what a week it has been. We couldn't have asked for any more, says the North End. 7 points in 7 days. Feels like we've turned a corner with 2 new signings. Meg Omer had Doak in his pocket. Gibson's a Rolls-Royce signing. Back this manager and he'll perform. Roll on plastics. The playoff run is on. And that's the question we're asking our team this week. Is it a possibility that we could see Preston North End at Wembley come May? We're also going to talk about the big game at Blackburn, transfer windows closing, what else needs to happen, and we are choosing our worst ever backline that was played in a North End shirt. Welcome back, Harvey and Etienne from last week, and back from his holiday to put the record straight on all things North End is Ash as well. How are you, Ash? Nice break?
Great, glad to be back.
Good stuff. Let's put the record straight then, shall we? Harvey, are we going to see Preston at Wembley? Any chance?
I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, but it's just typical North End, isn't it? I think I say it to everyone every year. Like, everyone's like, why do you support Preston? It's either a case of you start really badly and you end up really well, or you start really well and you end up really badly. And this season it seems to be start horrendously and then see where you go from there. Obviously, it's always the dream for every single Preston fan to get in the playoffs, but it'd be typical North End to finish 8th on 2 points off it or something like that. You know what I mean? But I'm hopeful with the way things are going, but I'm not going to get too excited just yet.
Well, let's get excited a little bit, shall we? Etienne, 7 points away from 6. A whole load of teams in between you and them, but you are one of the form teams at the moment in terms of the last 4. So what's stopping you?
Probably our away form, even though I picked up a really good 3 points away at Watford. Really cohesive team performance. Osmaic clinical as ever. Makoma immediately on the scene, and then going and beating a team like Middlesbrough. I know we've done well against them in the past, but re-scoring again, just grinding out that result. We went 1-1 in the highlights. Middlesbrough were pushing, and we just shut them off, pounced on a mistake, which we really hadn't done last season. So, yeah, it's a really good 7 points at a good time in the season. We've got Blackburn on Friday, where perfect time to pick up momentum, and then big games against Burnley, Norwich, Millwall. There's not much stopping us. We just need to keep this form going.
Yeah, we'll talk to a Blackburn fan in a second and preview that little rivalry. Ash, can we just talk about Lewis Gibson for a second? Obviously, he's stepped in to that defence. How's he done for you?
He's been great. He's the defence has seemed a lot more organised. I know we've now added wing back to that in Magoma. But the central defence looks 10 times stronger. I think it's a really astute signing. I didn't really know too much about him, but from what I've seen so far, he's an organiser. He gets stuck in. I think he misplaced 1 or 2 passes at the weekend, but he makes up for that and putting the blocks in and just gets in the way. So really impressed.
Harvey and Etienne, last time we spoke to you two was 7 days ago, and we were comparing the Luton away performance to a Ryan Lowe-esque one. What do you think that was almost deliberate, done to conserve energy almost for the Watford game? I mean, it can't have been more stark contrast, can it? Those 2 away games in Hertfordshire.
I don't. It's hard. It's after 2 really good wins. It's hard to explain what actually went down at Kenilworth Road. Whether it's just a case of trying to shut up shop and being aware that Luton have good, but Luton in the relegation zone.
Yeah.
It gets harder and harder to explain last Saturday with these 2 wins. So, yeah, I guess you could put it down to trying to conserve energy and maybe looking at Watford as a more winnable fixture. But I don't know. I feel like it might have just been a bad day at the office.
Okay. We didn't ask Ash if you're believing whether this team can go far. Where do you realistically think they could finish if all things go well, Ash?
I think being realistic, you're looking at 10th upwards would be a strong finish, considering how the start of the season went. But I'm optimistic. There is a chance that 6th spot comes open, and if we carry on the form that we're in, there's always that shot we get there.
Absolutely. One of the teams, of course, that has been in 6th for most of the season is your opponents this Friday night, Harvey. So let's bring in our Blackburn fan, Mark, to have a word with him. Hi, Mark. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, let's be nice to Mark now. Mark, where are Blackburn in terms of form going into this game? You've You obviously started well, but you're on the opposite season to Preston, aren't you, at the moment?
Yeah, it's probably a really good time to catch us, to be honest, at the minute. Our squad's really, really down to the bare bones. Not using it as an excuse by any stretch, but we've got about eight first-team players out. No additions, not real any additions been added in January. Forshaw and Sanderson from Birmingham. Unless we get a couple more players in between now and Friday. But I think from a form point of view, obviously with losing our last 3 games as well, probably for Preston, probably you lads are probably looking at it and thinking you love coming to Ewood anyway. So you're probably even more looking forward to Friday night. So it's not a great time for us at the minute, to be honest.
Tyree Stolen, Mark, never seems to perform well against Preston whenever he's played against them in the past. How's his form?
He's up and down, Dolan. I think he's one of them players where he could have a fantastic game every 5 or 6 games. And he is due one against Preston. I think, like you said, when he's played against Preston in previous games, he's not really performed. It would be a great time for him to produce, produce a really good performance on Friday night. He's also got his contract, and he's out of contract in the summer as well. So he's got that hanging over him at the minute. And who's to say he's not going to be sold in this window yet? There's still time. So, but if he does play, let's just get a big performance from him. So fingers crossed, but I'm not optimistic, to be honest.
Cheers, Mark. Harvey, Blackburn are no Luton Town. They can defend and they can score. How does he approach this one, Heckingbottom?
I think, given the circumstance, like it's not really like a massive derby, but it is, 2 Lancashire teams. I think you've just, especially given the last 2 games, obviously you're on a good run of form. I think you've just got to go for it, really. Obviously, like Mark said, we do quite well at Ewood anyway. Obviously, they've got a very limited squad. So I just think you've just got to go and attack it, to be honest. I think, especially at this stage in the season, fixtures come thick and fast, and teams pick up points and drop points all over. And I think if we're talking about going for a promotion push, I think these games against teams higher up in the table are where you've got to thrive. So I'm hoping that we don't just sit off. I don't want to turn up to Ewood and play for a draw because I just think it's just not worth it. I think you've got to go and attack this game head on and aim for 3 points and nothing less, really.
Obviously, the last time you met Ash, this was obviously the scene from the game. Cool heads going to be needed in this one. Do you think temperament is going to be a factor, given it's under the lights as well?
I mean, if I'm Heckingbottom, I'm telling him to bite him again. I think there's got to be some bite to the game. I think it's a perfect game for someone like Ledson to play in. Just add some bite, and I think when you go to Ewood, you've got to put the tackles in. You've got to come at them. Otherwise, you're gonna struggle. Generally, we tend to do that. So I think it needs a bit of high temper. It needs a bit of giving people a kick, and I think that's what makes those kind of games great to watch.
Mm-hmm. And just on that one, Mark, before we let you go, do you think that the sort of hatred's the right word, but there seems to be a growing dislike between Preston and Blackburn? Certainly, I've noticed that since that game, obviously back in November. But do you think the friendliness, if there ever was a friendliness between the two sides, a mutual understanding is dissipating a bit, and is this becoming a more fierce derby, or fierce fixture, let's call it, than it perhaps has in the past?
Yeah, probably. I mean, obviously, it's never going to be on the scale as the Burnley game. It's not classed as a huge derby, but I'd be lying to say, listen, if it's not, it's not a big fixture, it's a big game. Everybody wants bragging rights. Lancashire, both teams in Lancashire 10 mile up the road. And again, we've been in the same league now for best part of a decade now, I'd say now. So it's become a permanent fixture, whereas the Burnley one, it's pretty much every 2 years now. I think Preston probably not play Blackpool for some time, so there's always going to be a bit that added spice there, and so it's certainly you would be lying to say if it's not a big game. I think there's probably going to be over 20,000 or touching 20,000 on a Friday night as well. So big game. Obviously going back years ago, obviously when we were at the dizzy heights of the Premier League and Preston were probably a good 2-3 leagues below us. Obviously it didn't mean anything then unless we played them in a League Cup game. But yeah, it's been that permanent fixture for the last decade now. So as I said, it'd be a big game. And to be honest, I don't like it when Preston come to Ewood. I much prefer it when we play your Deepdale guys. Honestly, I always fancy us to get maybe a result there. So it worries me a little bit when you guys come to town. But yeah, I'm expecting a tight game. 2 good coaches. I think Heckingbottom's doing a really good job at Preston as well. So I think it'll be a really, really close one on Friday night.
Right. Cheers, Mark, for that. We wish you, obviously, they don't wish you well, but I wish you well, and thank you for coming on and sharing this. Cheers, thanks so much, mate. Right, a score prediction, Etienne, for this one?
3-1 Preston, tongue in cheek. We need to go out there, show them we're the informed team at the moment, play like we have been. I'm expecting an Osmajic goal, or 2 or 3. So, 3-1 Preston.
No, it's definitely written in the stars, isn't it, that one? Right, after that then, the transfer window then becomes our close attention. Let's have a look at kind of what's happened so far. This isn't, I don't believe it's fully up to date. This is what Sky were putting on their website earlier. Ash, what do you expect? Or first of all, from all three of you, any more rumours we need to put out there that we've heard in the last 7 days or so?
Thierry Small from Charlton.
Yeah, Lewis as well, I think.
Lewis O'Brien. Jamie Jellis has been floating about as well. From Warsaw.
Would you realistically expect Harvey to happen between now and Monday?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. To be honest, I think like you look at most Heckingbottom interviews, and he basically tells you he'd love to do a bit more business, but it's probably just not plausible. So I think he's just going to stick with what he's got now and maybe look towards the summer.
Yeah. Ash?
I don't expect much. I think we need some. Apparently, the Whiteman injury is pretty bad, so I would really like some cover there. Whether we could get it or not, I don't know. I think realistically, if we could send Bowler back to Forest and they could send us O'Brien, surely O'Brien's wages are higher, so that might make sense from a business perspective for them, although they don't really need the cash. So that would be a good one if we could get that over the line.
Okay. Etienne, anything happening for you?
No, I just want to say I think, especially for a January transfer window, we've done really, really well. We've got a bit of Ockle's wage off the books. We've got Leighton Stewart out the door, and we've replaced him with a very, very good centre-back. And Jaden McComber is young, he's pacey, he's doing exactly what we want down that left channel. It's been what we've been screaming out for the last 6 months. So you do have to commend the recruitment team for what they've done. It is their job, but they seem to have done a very, very good job this January.
Also signing the new contracts as well up for some of the big players at the back as well, which is really heritage. So we haven't heard any Ridsdale out chat for a while. Is that all calmed down now, Harvey?
I don't know. I think, like I said in the last time we mentioned Heckingbottom, it's not Heckingbottom, Ridsdale. Sorry. It's in terms of Preston fans, it's a very reactionary fan base in the sense that you go on a mad loss streak or you go on a bad streak of playing really poorly, and I think every single person will probably look towards Ridsdale because it's just the easiest thing to do, especially if you're not getting many players in. But a lot of them do tend to go quiet when you're playing well. I've seen a few tweets here and there of crediting him for getting the business of Gibson and Magoma done, but again, like Ash says all the time, it's his job, and that's what you expect if your ambition is to go further up in the league, which is something that every single Preston fan wants to do, because I think we're bored of being stuck in this league, to be honest.
Okay, cool. All right, then, we're nearly done for this week. Thank you very much all for watching. Before you go, though, let's continue our journey through the worst of Preston North End in the Championship era. Last week we did strikers. Remind me, Etienne Harvey, I forget who you actually said there, but We'll put it up on the screen when we've finished it all. This week we are doing defences, so we're looking for left back, right back, and 2 centre backs if you can. Anybody want to kick this off?
I've got a right back nailed on, and it's Matthew Olasunde.
Yeah.
He was absolutely awful. I just remember that one game when we went to Ewood and he absolutely stunk the gaff out. And it was, I don't think he played anything after that, or if so very little. He's definitely the worst right back.
He got a chance on the low at Wolves, and he also stumped the gaff out against him. And then he never had a chance after that.
Okay. Good shot. So we've got a right back. Any left backs?
I've got another right back that's arguable, Nicky Hunt. I don't know if you lads remember him, but Nicky Hunt was absolutely dreadful. Might be the worst player we've ever had. Before used, but that boy was disgraceful. Really bad. Left back, I've got Jay McEverly. I don't know if that was Championship or if that was League One.
Okay, well, we'll stick it in the absence of any others. I'm sure someone will correct us in the comments. What else have we got centre back wise or centre half wise?
I think me and Harvey might be very similar with the fact that we might be like 2015 onwards, because I've never heard of that left back, which is probably an indication of how bad he was.
Honestly, words can't explain. I think he played for some pretty good clubs as well, but disgraceful football.
What have we got? Yeah.
A left back. Oh, go on, Harvey. I'll let you.
I remember one. I was very, very young. However, I remember this game, and it was against Newcastle. I remember it because I went with my dad. I was very, very young, but it was a defender, and I remember his name was like Teus Browning, and he was probably, I don't know if anyone remembers him, but he was probably the worst defender I've ever seen, especially at such a young age. He looked so physically off it, and I think Newcastle just absolutely bodied him for the entire game. So he's in there for a centre back recommendation. Because I think for mine and Etienne's age, we've got quite lucky over the years in terms of defenders.
I really couldn't. I looked at Tyus Browning and went, I just thought he was bang average. I don't actually remember much of him. I've kind of been unfair. Like, look at on the pad, it says Boyle, and then I don't know, left centre back Earl. Like, I think we've got quite lucky.
Can you help your pseudo sons out here?
Aaron Brown was horrendous. I remember him playing as a striker once. That was just horrific. But again, I don't know if these are League One or Championship, so I'm not sure. Just interesting one though. Tyus Brown's called like Jiang Guang Tai or something now.
I know, innit?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, was he not at Everton at one point as well?
Yeah, he was there. I think you got him from us, didn't you? I don't think he ever played first team for us.
I always disliked Craig Morgan as well as a centre back, but I don't really recall whether he was any good or not. I just remember him booting people.
It's a whole new 11 that people you don't like. Yeah.
I could fill that 4 times.
Yeah, I could.
Right. Okay. Cheers for that, fellas. Let us know in the comments what they've missed, if they've missed any really glaringly obvious ones. Next week it comes to its conclusion. We'll be glad to hear. Midfield, we're looking for the oil tankers. We're looking for the least dynamic players that have ever stuck in the middle of that Preston pitch. So get thinking on that as we conclude our team. Right. Thank you, you three. Great to see you back, Ash, and thank you, Harvey and Etienne, as well, for your journalistic comments. Thank you very much for watching. Drop us a like, drop us a subscribe. You know what to do. We love all the positive comments we get on here. And if you've got anything positive to say, we'd love to hear it this week as well. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great week. We'll see you on the other side of the Blackburn game. We'll be watching Friday night on Sky with my feet up with my Stella in my hand. See you then.